Holidays are supposed to be a joyful time to celebrate and come together with those we love. But it can also be when we feel the absence of those we've lost the strongest. We'll tell their stories around the dinner table, remember them, but we also have to cope with grief. There's a place in Clinton County where people can come channel that grief by talking out loud to the ones they've lost. That's today's story of the day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Clarkson University, offering over 95 programs of study with campuses in the Hudson Valley, Central, and Northern New York. More at clarkson.edu.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Friday, December 19th. First up, Congress passed a law earlier this week that will allow whole milk to once again be offered in public schools across the country. The legislation has been a rare spot of bipartisan agreement. Aaron Shello-Levine reports for the New York Public News Network.
In 2010, Congress passed a law limiting the kind of milk that can be served in public schools through the U.S. Department of Agriculture's National School Lunch Program. In 2012, those changes went into effect, taking whole milk and flavored milks out of cafeterias across the country, leaving skim and 1% as the only fat content options available.
That's been a big hit to our dairy farmers. It was a punch in the gut, and they've been trying to have it changed ever since.
U.S. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer spoke Monday at A. Ohms & Sons Dairy Farm in Valatia.
There were studies at the time suggesting that limiting whole milk in kids' diets was healthier. But there are new studies that show actually it's better to have whole milk. It's healthier, number one, and number two, it reduces obesity rates, and the kids like drinking it a lot better. So they drink more of it, and we all know milk is so healthy for you.
Last month, the Senate unanimously passed the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act of 2025, which revises the USDA's meal program guidelines to allow whole, reduced fat, and fat-free milk to be served in schools. Monday afternoon, the U.S. House of Representatives followed suit, and the legislation has proven to be a rare point of bipartisan agreement, with co-sponsors ranging from New York Democratic Senator Kirsten Gillibrand to Iowa Republican Senator Chuck Grassley. Regionally, it's the kind of bill that has the support of Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who is running for New York governor, as well as the support of Schumer, who said research on milk fat content has changed in the past decade.
The old studies are outdated, the new studies are correct, and we need to do it. The bill is a win-win. It's a win for the dairy farmers, and it's a win for the kids.
Ashley Sardo, manager of national affairs for the New York Farm Bureau, said the lactose legislation will be a boon for New York's roughly 3,000 dairy producers that make more than 16 billion pounds of milk annually, making New York the nation's fifth largest dairy state.
While it provides schools the option to purchase whole milk, it has real impacts for dairy farmers. Not only will this increase demand for whole milk, but it creates a market opportunity for our dairy farmers.
Eric Ohms says for every 100 pounds of milk sold, his farm pays 15 cents to promote dairy products across the country. Think the Got Milk commercials.
For generations, we've been saying milk is healthy. And that messaging is finally getting through. Okay? So that feels good because we put a lot of money into promotion, but we can't promote Hudson Valley Fresh. We can't promote Cabot cheese. We promote generic. Well, we promote the benefits of milk. And it feels good that, because, people it seemed like people didn't care.
For Ohms, this legislation begins to reverse more than a decade of misunderstanding that has left farms like his unable to offer a full range of milk to local schools. In Saratoga Springs, I'm Aaron Shello-Levine for the New York Public News Network.
Something called a wind phone in northern Clinton County is giving people a place to express grief by talking to the ones they've lost out loud. Kara Chapman brings us this story.
Janet McFetridge says the act of dialing a rotary phone really takes her back.
You're at church and you're calling for a ride home, so you dial that number, and I'll bet almost all of us remember those landline numbers. Very quickly comes back, and there's just that connection to the past, I guess.
This particular rotary phone is special. For one, it's outside, mounted to a small wooden telephone booth on Main Street in the tiny border town of Champlain. And when you pick it up, it doesn't have a dial tone. That's because it's not connected to any telephone lines or networks. It's called a wind phone. The idea is that you pick it up, dial a number if you want, and talk to a loved one who has died out loud. McFetridge is the mayor of Champlain and owner of Red Canoe Coffee and Books next door. About a dozen people gathered for a dedication ceremony last summer. McFetridge told them the wind phone is available to all those coping with grief.
Each of us will experience the complex emotions that come with the loss of a loved one. And this phone, this old-fashioned wall phone rotary dial, will give you an opportunity to say what you hold in your hearts and to send your message off into the wind.
McFetridge says the first wind phone was created by a garden designer in Japan. He set up an unconnected telephone booth so he could talk to his cousin, who had died. It's since received tens of thousands of visitors and inspired replicas all over the world. Amanda Mitchell is a bereavement coordinator and social worker with Hospice of the North Country. She says there's no right or wrong way to grieve, and she encourages people to try different things to see what works best for them. That includes talking to their loved ones out loud.
Talking to one who has passed on can bring us comfort and at times help us feel connections to them. It is a way to express everything we are feeling without dealing with outside opinions from others. Being able to express yourself when no one is around can be therapeutic. And even though your loved one isn't physically there, talking to them can help fill that void.
Mitchell says it's okay to be honest, even if you're feeling anger or guilt. She says talking into the wind phone is a good way to release those pent-up emotions.
It's easier to talk on the phone than to an empty room or even a headstone. Think of it like verbally journaling, except this way you don't run the risk of someone finding your book and reading your private thoughts.
Michelle Toloski gave the wind phone a go after the ceremony. She says she talked to her parents.
I just said, I still miss you and your earthly presence. That's what I said.
Mm-hmm.
So.
What were they like?
They were really good parents. My dad was from the Bahamas, and so that's my love of water and the ocean, and everything that was great about nature, I learned from him. And my mom was from Ohio, and she was a wonderful woman who worked her fingers to the bones, and she gave me my spunk.
Another woman, Carmen, said the wind phone brings things full circle for her. She and her late husband lived across the state from each other when they first met. That meant they spent a lot of time on the phone.
We built a life for quite a while on a phone. And so by the time we came together as husband and wife and stuff like that, we really knew each other. It wasn't like this on the cuff know each other. I mean, we really knew each other. So this phone speaks volumes for me.
And it's speaking to others too. McFetridge says since the ceremony, people have stopped into her cafe after using the wind phone to thank her for putting it up. She says sometimes they have tears in their eyes, and she tells them that's okay.
You never know. You never know with grief in particular how much you're holding it in and how much you aren't until you start to let a little bit out.
And the loss of a loved one can hit especially hard during the holidays. McFetridge says grief never really gets easier, and we're unknowingly surrounded by people dealing with it all the time.
But I think the wind phone allows you to just release that in some privacy, and it does allow you to say, hey, I'm hurting and I want to talk to you, and I'm here and I'm okay.
McFetridge says she hopes having the wind phone out where everyone can see it also puts grief out in the open.
I do hope that people feel comfortable to say, hey, I need this right now. And there's no stigma in stopping and sitting in this chair making a phone call.
The Champlain Village Wind Phone is open to the public 24/7 year-round. You can find it on Main Street next door to Red Canoe Coffee and Books. Kara Chapman, North Country Public Radio, Champlain.
That story first aired last year in December 2024. More news through the weekend on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Gretchen Kohler, Daniel Kelly, and Oscar Sarmiento, all of Potsdam. Have a great weekend. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.